Step into the world of thoroughbred racehorse ownership.
And they're off.
Share new experiences and create memories to last a lifetime. Dreams become reality in our winner circle.
Bursting between runners, what a ride!
Go to ownathorough.ca or call ownership specialist Stacey Roberts at the HBPA of Ontario.
Hi, everybody. Dan Illman and Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Wednesday, March the 25th is race number 9 at Gulfstream Park. We are going 1.5 miles on the turf. It's an optional claiming race. Our race of the day coverage is brought to you by ownathorough.ca and the Ontario HBPA. Make 2020 your year for excitement. Visit ownathorough.ca for current ownership opportunities. Call the HBPA of Ontario's ownership specialist, Stacey Roberts, for more information, or visit ownathorough.ca. Let's take a look at the field for Wednesday's race of the day. Remember that you can download free Formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Access them, handicap along with us. Mike, we've got 9 entered for turf. The number 9, Blew It, is entered main track only. 1.5 miles, really the determining factor in this race. Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector. We're expecting the 6 Vegas Kitten to make the front, and I'd agree with that assessment.
I mean, yeah, I don't see why that horse wouldn't just be on the lead in this race. We'll see if he gets the 1.5 miles, which you're correct is the determining factor in the race. Just because there's no standout in here, Dan, it just feels like whoever gets the best trip and they can see it out is probably going to win.
Number 1 is Reheka. This is a horse who began his career with a little bit of promise in Southern California for Richard Baltus. Grade 3 placed early in his career. He's taking a pretty substantial drop in class now to the $25,000 level. He hasn't done much recently. It is worth noting he does have a half sibling that won over 2 miles in England.
Yeah, we'll see what he does. I mean, I think you sort of have to get past that last race, the first one for Safi Joseph at Tampa Bay. He just didn't do any running at all because prior to that, he's got plenty of races that make him a contender in here.
Gigantic stretch out in distance for the number 2, Extra Extra, stretching out from 7.5 furlongs to 1.5 miles off this victory against $25,000 maiden claimers. Extra Extra just was able to make the front, controlled the pace at 24-1, and he sprints on home to a 71 Beyer speed figure. I don't know where this race came from, Mike. It's nice to see it. Now he's got to stretch out again. At least the 5th place finisher came back to win with a 76 Beyer.
I mean, I guess the trip had everything to do with the turnaround in form. I guess when you get loose on the lead like that, it makes it easier to run a better race. He's been big prices right along, Dan. He's going to be a big price once again.
He is a half-brother to a horse that was stakes placed at 9.5 furlongs. The number 3 is Blue Sky Kitten, who's been racing on dirt in his last 2 races. Being a son of Kitten's Joy out of a King Mambo mare, he wants the turf. 3 starts back, sort of an even performance in a race where the 5th horse came back to run second with a 72 Beyer speed figure. This horse is only 2 for 21 lifetime, but with this pedigree, he's eligible to stretch out.
I mean, I guess he is. He just looks overmatched to me in this race.
Let's talk a little bit about the 4, Surf and Turf. 3rd start of the form cycle. It looked like this horse was starting to find himself, Mike, last summer as a 3-year-old. He ran really well in the Kent Stakes, and then unfortunately, he went on the shelf. He has 2 races back for John Service, and last time out, there just was no pace for him to run at. He ended up down on the inside. He sort of stayed on one pace, but he's by Kitten's Joy. He is a long-distance sire to be sure. I think if you give this horse some pace, he has all the upside and can improve.
That's kind of how I looked at him, too. I mean, I just feel like from a lot of different angles, he makes sense in this race. Not that he doesn't probably have to improve a little bit. And, the distance is still a question for him. But he did run pretty well in the Kent last summer. And then, his first 2 starts back, I actually felt like his first start off the layoff was sort of deceptively good. He was far back early in that race, but he was staying on pretty well at the end of that race. And last time I thought he had no chance the way it was run, Dan. And also just adding the fact that was probably a better field than this one.
Lemonist is up next. This horse was claimed away from Todd Pletcher by Safi Joseph. We're going to take a look at Lemonist's race for the $40,000 tag. You want to talk about a blanket finish. You could throw a blanket over all 10 of these horses. There's Lemonist, the number 12 in the white cap. He is just off the rail right now. The one horse is getting to his outside. He's going to finish decently in between horses, but boy, yeah, again, just pick a number right here, Mike. It's hard to really say that any of these horses ran great.
Yeah, I agree. And it's not like Lemonist had some kind of excuse in there. He had a big shot at that race all through the stretch and just wasn't quite good enough. It's kind of the story of his life, Dan. I mean, he's pretty good. He's one of the few horses in here, so I think you could look at and say he's run pretty well going long before, so he's got that going for him. He's just not my kind of horse at a short price.
Fifth horse out of that last race did come back to win a $30,000 claimer with an 87 buyer. This horse is a full to a Group 3 winner at 1.15 Distance shouldn't be an issue, and I think he can get up close to the pace. Maybe if you wanted to make the tiniest of excuses last time, perhaps you could say, well, he had to go into the race a little bit early, was forced all in by an outside rival on the turn. Vegas Kitten is up next, and I think it's very interesting to note that not only that Michael Maker reclaimed this horse. We've talked about it many times, especially with horses stretching out drastically in distance. Maker just has a nose for these horses. So he reclaimed this horse off of this race. A gate-to-wire performance on March the 4th. Vegas Kitten was able to get to the lead. He was able to back down the pace, but he finishes it off nicely with an 82 buyer. If he gets to the lead, I'm not worried about the distance. I trust Maker.
I kind of agree with that too. I don't think I would, you don't know it that he'll get this far until he tries it. But with Maker calling the shot, you kind of just suspect that he'll get it. This win is fine, Dan. He got absolutely loose on a rated pace, and he had plenty left when that runner up there, Wise to Listen, tried to take a run at him and just put that horse away with no trouble at all. I liked that performance. I thought he ran okay off that long layoff as well, 2 starts back. And as you mentioned, that was the first start for Maker. And as soon as he lost him, Maker went right back in and claimed it back. I think that probably means something.
Duc de Calas, the number 7, the recent form not been very good, although he was in against a hot horse last time out. The winner of that race coming back to win with an 86 buyer speed figure. Perhaps the 2 best things that he has going for him is 1, he's trained by the great Christophe Clement, and 2, this horse just seems like he wants to go long. He's won several times at 1.25 miles overseas, and his sire is a true stamina influence in Europe.
Yeah, right. I mean, he's a maiden on the grass, but he's won 3 times on synthetic at 1.25 miles. So you can sort of look at him and think the more distance is going to help this horse. To me, he's pretty hard to take after just getting pummeled for a $16,000 tag last time, but maybe the distance will turn him around.
The number 8 is Indian Councilor. I'm interested in your take on this horse, Mike. I thought it was very interesting that Kenny McPeak wanted to run him in 1.25 miles maiden race over the summer last year. He was well beaten. He went on the shelf. They brought him back in a mile event. We're going to take a look at that race right now. He got a good, strong pace to run at, but he was under a ride on the turn. And just the way he runs, we see him easing out into the stretch right now, the number 2. He just grinds and grinds and grinds. And that makes me think that maybe he's going to appreciate more distance. He is taking, obviously, a big step up in class, and he was aided by the pace, but I think he has some potential.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, he is stepping up in class, but it's not like he's found the toughest field in the world here to face winners for the first time. I thought he ran well last time, Dan. The pace was there for him, but I think it's at least worth pointing out that it's not like he was outrunning that spot. He was in range of that pace most of the way, and he finished it off pretty nicely. I think this horse is very interesting in this race.
Blewett has entered main track only, so we'll move on to Shazir, a horse that's performed well at longer distances. Stakes placed on dirt going 1.25 miles. Last time out, just completely overmatched. I draw a line through the McKnight. If you want to draw a line through the Jerkins, you're left with a horse that's honest, maybe not trustworthy, doesn't win very often, but can get a piece with the right trip.
Yeah, that's how I looked at him too. I can't say I love this horse, but I could certainly see using him somewhere. If he's a big price, he's only 8-1 on the line, which is no great shakes, but he might drift from that.
Fun race going 1.5 miles at Gulfstream on Wednesday. Let's take a look at our top selections in here. Mike, you're going with the number 4, Surf and Turf. And again, this horse has a tremendous amount of upside potential.
Yeah, that's kind of why I took him, Dan. I think his 2 races off the layoff might be a little bit better than they look. I think this is an easier spot for him. And listen, maybe Lemonist is the horse to beat, but I'm not taking that horse on top.
Yeah, I'd rather not have him at a short price either. I'm going to take a chance with this number 8 in here. I think that this is a horse, again, from his grinding style, is going to appreciate the distance. I think we might get a decent price stepping up out of the maiden ranks. He's 6-1 on the morning line on Indian Councilor, but I would use Surf and Turf as well. This is probably a race that I would spread just because of the uncertainty of the distance. It's race number 9 at Gulfstream Park on Wednesday. It's your DRF race of the day with an approximate post time of 5:07 Eastern. Best of luck.